Hi, Ben with Novel Stereophonic. Thanks for stopping by the channel. I recently relocated and my original shop stool was really messing with the feng shui of the new lab. The seat was worn out, didn't roll very well, kind of uncomfortable. I wanted to upgrade to something that would last. So I spend sometimes 8 up to 14 hours a day in the lab servicing audio electronics, editing YouTube videos. I'm in here a lot. I wanted something that was durable, would roll well, and be comfortable to sit on all day. So I went with Vyper chair, but long story short, I bought the wrong chair. In this video, I'm going to compare this to my replacement chair, which is a Robust Steel Max. I'll go over kind of the pros and cons, my decision-making process, and hopefully through my experience, I can save you a little bit of headache and help you pick the right chair first time. So my initial thought when ordering the Sport was to go with the smallest footprint possible. I like to get right up tight to the bench when I'm working, and I thought it would be nice to have something as small as possible so that I have as much space to get right up next to the bench and not have something kind of jamming into my heels as I worked. So that's really what led me to this one. The other consideration was 21-inch height. My old chair, my comfortable height that I'd used for years was 21 inches. This one sits at just about 21 inches on the top adjustment, so I thought it was going to be perfect for what I needed to do. So my space is set up in a U shape, and a lot of times I'm at my main bench area servicing electronics, but then I need to spin around, come over to my handy tray truck over here, grab some parts, take them back over here. So I needed something that would roll well. One of the common motions that I need to do during the day is rotate from the main bench over to the computer. And that's to look up schematics, answer an email or whatever during the day while I'm working on things. So with the Robust Steel Sport, there's no swivel. So I needed to kind of back up, rotate the wheels and come back in at 90 degrees. So it's kind of a weird motion. I got used to it after a while, but ideally a swivel is really what I need for this. So that's why I went with the Robust Steel Max with the Easy Lift. What I noticed about the Robust Steel Sport in the beginning is the casters were really stiff. I had a really hard time doing these direction changes where you're going 180, but after about a week, the wheels really kind of loosened up and broke in, and it became extremely easy to move around. So my initial issue with the wheels basically just got resolved over time. The second issue I have with the chair is related to the mounting for the seat. The problem that I have with this chair is all stemming from this joint here. So the way you adjust this is with this cotter pin, and you can see there's motion here, especially when I'm on the top adjustment for the 21-inch height. There's just too much play in this joint. So every time I shift direction, I can feel the chair move. It's also a little bit squeaky, and I shoot a lot of YouTube content on the fly, and I don't want that creakiness in the background, so I needed something that was more rigid. Now I did try some things to resolve this. I put in a paper shim from the bottom, and that worked great for about an hour until it fell out of the bottom. I contacted Vyper, and they asked me if I could try doing a wooden shim. So I did that. I put in some wooden shims. I got it really rigid and it felt great. Didn't make any noise. It was so stiff and so comfortable. And then the wood shim started to fall out. It would last about a day, maybe a day and a half. So that's the main reason that I decided to send this chair back and upgrade to the Robust Steel Max. I needed something that was more rigid in the seat's joint into the base. One of the unexpected pros of the Robust Steel Sport was the built-in tool tray. Initially, I didn't want this feature. I thought it would be better to have a chair that didn't have this type of setup where it just had outriggers with wheels, so I could roll up, get my tripod in nice and tight without hitting it, wouldn't hit the back of my heels. But I ended up really liking the tool tray on this chair because working at the bench, I drop parts pretty frequently, whether it be an electronic component, a screw, a nut. Things would fall off the bench and launch halfway across the lab, and I'd spend the next 10 minutes with a flashlight trying to find the missing part. When I was using this chair, more often than not, it would catch the fallen part in the tool tray because of the lip. So it saved me so much time. Really unexpected bonus of this chair. My new Robust Steel Max just arrived. Let's open it up. All right, looks like we've got casters, and right off the bat, these are 4-inch casters. The ones on the Robust Steel Sport were 3-inch, so that's a welcome change. It looks like if I want to, I can remove these locks, which I couldn't do on the Robust Steel Sport. The locks are built into the wheels. Hardware. Now this is going to be my big concern. I'm going to grab a tape measure. I want to see how wide this is. So we started at 21.5 in the Robust Steel Sport. Looks like 22.5, 22 3/4, so not all that much bigger. I'm excited to get this thing assembled and see how it rolls around in the lab. And here's something in there. Hopefully it won't make too much noise in use. Let's get the next layer. A little bit thicker than the Robust Steel Sport. This is the end piece for the backrest. Revised caster bolt stack up. I'll have to read up on that. Oh yeah, this chair is much thicker than the Sport. Backrest, Vyper V. What else do we got in here? Nice sticker. There's the easy lift mechanism. Oh. All right. Got all my parts laid out. I'm going to go ahead and scan this QR code and start assembling this thing. Well, that was a fun build. I tried to scan the QR code, but it didn't go through. I think it was just an issue on my end. I ended up just using the included instruction booklet, and that went perfectly fine. Everything was really clear. First thing I did was remove the brakes from the wheels. I did end up with a few extra parts. I'm not sure what exactly these were for, maybe for a different lift system or something like that. But anyways, the chair is built. Let's throw it in the lab and see how it looks. This chair looks awesome in here. I'm really happy with it. Let's take a seat and see how it compares to the Robust Steel Sport. So this is a new addition from Vyper, this option for the lift mechanism, and I really, really like it. So it's a very smooth action, feels very solid. If I want to do a precision adjustment, I can just kind of tap it down where I want. It has kind of a little bit of a suspension built into it. So if I load into the chair quickly, it gives me kind of a nice spring-loaded feel. You can kind of see that there's a little bit of compression to it when I sit down. So it's super comfortable to get into. Really, really like that. Another side benefit of the Easy Lift is that it comes with a swivel mechanism. So right out of the box, the first thing I noticed is that the resistance on the wheels is really, really nice. There's not that break-in period that I experienced with the Robust Steel Sport. And because of the swivel here, when I change direction, the wheelbase itself swivels as well, which makes the direction change even smoother. And that motion of coming from looking at a piece of equipment at the bench and swiveling to look at the computer is so much improved. So my backrest stays right here as I swivel the chair, and I don't have to do this awkward push, change, and pull back in. I just need to do a slight rotation, and if I want to move forward, the wheelbase moves smoothly with me as I approach the table. One of the reasons that I didn't go with this chair initially is I was concerned about the larger diameter of this ring. But in the end, this is actually a better solution for me. When I roll up tight to the bench, when this thing makes contact, it's in kind of the meaty part of the back of my leg, and because it's rounded, there's not You know, it's not a painful type of interaction there. With the Robust Steel Sport, it sits a little bit lower and it's a metal tool tray, and that would kind of dig in right here to the back of my heel. So actually, the Robust Steel Sport was a little bit less comfortable than this chair. So this is an overall upgrade. I've been using this chair for about a week, and what I can tell you is I often find myself cheating up to the bar here, especially when doing long video editing sessions. I'll raise one foot or both feet on just to stretch out a little bit, kind of change the angle and resolve a little bit of fatigue. So that's really nice. With the Robust Steel Sport, this was the tool tray edge. So that's with socks on only, that's kind of a rough edge. With shoes, it was fine, but if just wearing socks in here, it was kind of sharp. So I actually prefer the way that this feels on this chair. So far, I prefer the Robust Steel Max in every way compared to the Robust Steel Sport. There's really only two minor things that I could find with it that bother me, and they're very, very minor. So there is just a tiny bit of play in the joint in the chair here, but I don't find that I feel it when I'm changing direction. I might initially when I sit down, but once you're compressed on it, it really doesn't move around that much. So it's kind of a non-issue, but it is there. If you want a super rigid chair, one of the options besides the Easy Lift might be a better choice, but for me, and obviously I was sensitive enough to that to change the chair, this doesn't bug me. The other thing that I noticed is on the wheels that I pulled the brakes off of, the bolt is slightly longer, and sometimes when changing direction, this will swing around and hit me in the heel, where it doesn't seem to happen as often on the other wheels. So the next time at the hardware store, I'm just going to pick up a shorter bolt and install it. So it's kind of a non-issue. So after experiencing both chairs, what do I think? My preference on every parameter is the Robust Steel Max. In the beginning, I was looking for something that was compact, would roll extremely easily, and last for the duration. I think this chair checks all the boxes. The Robust Steel Sport was a great chair, but I had an issue with how the joint matched up. It was noisy, and I could feel emotion whenever I changed direction. At the beginning, the casters were a little bit stiff. They ended up freeing up, but because they're 3-inch instead of 4-inch, it didn't roll quite as smoothly as this chair. The fact that this one comes with the Easy Lift option also added the swivel function, which was a game changer. So that's the thing that really took this chair over the edge. And if you look at the comparison between the prices of the two chairs, I think this is worth every penny. So for me personally, it's the Robust Steel Max, hands down, but depending on your application, the Robust Steel Sport may be a great fit. Thanks for stopping by the channel. We'll catch you on the next one.